You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
We're back. This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony, broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios and brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. Right now, it's time for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. Give Greg Keener a call at Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. When you need someone reliable, punctual, and effective, I always call Greg. Pest Control Services is a proud member of Angie's List and the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
We're talking this morning with Dr. Gary Solomon, who's identified a disorder that he calls the HOA syndrome, suffered by folks that live within a homeowners association. And Dr. Solomon, in your literature, you describe the symptoms of HOA syndrome as anger, fatigue, anxiety, irritability, depression, nihilism, paranoia. How do you know this is caused by an HOA? I feel many of these symptoms every time I have to call the utility company locally. What's different about it in an HOA?
Yeah, you bring up an excellent point. Thank you. When you call, let me go back for a minute and explain the concept of stress. If we look at the origin of stress, we were originally designed to have stress for about 3 minutes a day. If we go back and look at the hunt between the tiger and the antelope is being chased. The antelope feels stressed. The tiger is chasing, and they're both under stress. Ultimately, one of them is going to either die or get away.
Okay.
But that stress lasts for about 3 minutes. Now, let's use your example of calling for a particular service. That stress event may last anywhere between 3 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say I'm usually on hold about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. But
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and use the luxury of it lasts for an entire day, 24 hours.
Okay.
So we'll make it a very stressful event. As a result of what's happening in HOAs, the stress never goes away. We aren't designed to handle the kind of stress that we're existing. We go to work, we're under stress, we come home, we detox, and we're in the safety of our own home. Suddenly, while moving into an HOA, the individual puts themselves, or may put themselves, and I'm going to underline the word may put themselves into a situation where they're constantly under stress as a result of having to live in a home under the rules and regulations of how someone decides they should live.
Okay, so you're saying there's no relief.
There is no relief whatsoever. How does this vary? Well, it varies depending on the pathology of the individuals who are on the board. That is to say, within a community of, for instance, 400 houses, every house has a certain amount of psychopathology. We all have our thing that we do. We're a little depressed, a little anxious, a little sleep-deprived. If an individual gets on the board who suffers from a particular kind of psychopathology, that psychopathology is then going to be used as a hammer to go after people in the neighborhood that he or she or they want to punish or take on or go after.
Okay, but you're also describing a situation that could occur in the workplace or in a family situation. I guess it sounds to me like interaction of human beings in any circumstance.
If I may also add, too, Dr. Solomon, to me, it seems apparent that there are a number of times when an individual may feel anxiety and stress, and the moment that you see or witness someone is that moment where they are kind of it's sort of a stress relief, and so they say something, they act in a certain way, but it really wasn't that situation in and of itself, but something that happened earlier in the day. I mean, after all, it seems like we live in a society now where they said, a third of all homes are underwater, and people don't have any equity in their homes. Unemployment's at a all-time high. People's safety and security with the job. There's a number of other things that I would see as stressors that would certainly be prevalent and not going away in a person's life, but I wouldn't attribute it to just saying it's the HOA's fault.
The significant difference is the period of time that the stress exists. And what I'm observing and what I'm hoping to test for a 3-year period is, as a result of the constant stress, the stress that's different from the stress that comes from driving on the freeway or the stress that comes from a moment of discourse within a relationship, the constant stress, the worrying about the letter that has come in the mail, the hypervigilance because there's a weed in the yard, that the trash can is left out.
See, you keep, if I may, you keep referring to a time as being sort of the key. I want to go back and say, well, what prevents you from saying that it wasn't from the causal reaction to something else in a person's life? I don't know that. How have you, in your study, taken into consideration all those other stressors that someone has in their life and know that that isn't the cause of what's causing them to react the way they are?
Yeah, you're referring to basically the origin and the observational difference, the phenomenological difference is that these stressors exist in the lives of people who do not live in HOAs and are not having these reactions. So if we compare individuals who don't live in HOAs to individuals who do live in HOAs, that is, we use the HOA as a single variable of difference, what we find is that the individuals living in HOA appear to be under much more stress as it relates specifically to the HOA.
Okay.
Excuse me,
right.
Dr. Solomon, we are coming up to a hard break here, top of the hour. Folks, don't go away. We've got a whole second hour together here with Dr. Solomon. We're going to be talking next about what he believes are the causes of HOA syndrome. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.